When should you change your investment allocations for retirement? That is such an important thing to get a hold of. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Kristen Oakley here with Sherry Over. She is the CEO of the Athena Team based right here in Maryland. And Sherry, it's interesting. I think a lot of folks are very familiar with the accumulation years, those years when you are working and you're putting away that hard-earned money. But you and I both know an important shift happens as folks approach and enter retirement. So let's have this conversation today. How does someone know when they should start changing their investment allocations accordingly?
Yeah, that's a great question and often an overlooked one. What I've found is that there's a way we've done things that seem comfortable and certain. And the reality is that changes in our later years. So the first most important thing we want to start with is understanding our goals. When do we plan on retiring? How close are we to that mark? And what do we do with our investment strategy and how all of that works for us to achieve our goal? Ultimately, it's our tools that will direct us to our goal that will then determine our strategy. So the Athena strategy is something we do when we meet with an individual and say, how can we achieve your goals? So when does it change? That's the bigger question. I like to use the example of Mount Everest. So if I were to climb or scale Mount Everest, I would hire an expert to help me.
Oh, yes.
They're going to tell me when to take a break, when to pack, what to pack, how to hydrate, all the important factors for safely climbing that mountain. The reality is most deaths occur on the descent of Mount Everest.
Yes, coming down the mountain.
Correct. Why? Because that Sherpa or that expert that gets you up Mount Everest, which is our accumulation phase in our finances, is a different Sherpa that safely gets you down the mountain. There are a lot of important things to consider in the descent from Mount Everest or our time and season in life when we move into retirement that we can no longer take the risks that we used to, or that we need to be considering growth, protection, for distribution, because that's the time in our life that we're starting to pull from those savings that we've accumulated on the upside of Mount Everest. So as a Sherpa on the downside, I'm a protection and distribution specialist. And I say, I can help protect what is most important to someone that's heading into retirement.
So much gold you just shared, so much to unpack with that. But to your point, it's a different skill set between the accumulation phase and that distribution phase. And it's also a psychological shift that folks have to make. Do you find that that's really challenging for people to go from savers to now I have to withdraw that money and generate income for myself?
It's a different shift because the reality is we don't know what to expect. And oftentimes we can't even ask questions because we don't know what to ask. We just don't know what to expect. And it is very different. It's a very different strategy that focuses on how can I ensure what I saved all those years will sustain me through all of my living years, which oftentimes, how many will that be? We don't know, but we know we need to plan for those things by utilizing a different strategy.
And I think that's why so many folks have that fear of running out of money. We know that that's the number one fear that keeps a lot of people up at night. What are some of the risks that folks are encountering as they make that shift and that transition into retirement that need to be accounted for?
Right. There are several risks. I would say, when someone comes into my office, when you come into my office, we're going to look at several risks. We are going to look at legislative risk. We're going to look at market risk. We're going to look at tax risk. And we're going to see the impacts as to your future retirement, ultimately pulling that in with the Athena strategy and saying, here's how we're going to make it work for you in retirement and change what we were doing because it no longer works for us today.
Absolutely. And that shift, I'd love to know that you are there helping and guiding folks to be able to make that transition successfully into retirement. So if you would like some help for no cost, no charge, no obligation, what Sherry and the Athena team are offering you is a complimentary Athena strategy session. To claim yours, all you need to do is call that number you see below.